A slide into anarchy is all but inevitable if the wave after wave of abductions and the period of national shocks that engulfed the country in the aftermath of June 25th are not remedied. That's the view of my guest today, who has also emerged as the critic-in-chief and the sole cabinet member questioning why the government is pulling against the national mood. Justin Bedan Muturi is on the bench tonight here on JKL. I am Ayub Abdikadir Abdi. Jeff Koinange is back next week, and here are the top stories.
Walikuwa wanaenda kwa kundi around 70. Wanakuja duka yote yenye imefunguliwa na iko karibu na njia. Wanaingia, wanaiba watu vitu na wanapiga watu.
Sisi wanataka kupigwa. Mimi niwapatia tu. Kuwapatia wakaniacha, wakakimbia na mbele.
Day of horror. The terror visited on businesses and residents in Ruaraka as President William Ruto visited neighboring Mathare constituency.
We are looking for 30.9 billion. If that money was here today, then we'll just say go on and work, because we'll do what we have been doing before. The truth is, that money is not here.
Government grapples to find 5 billion shillings to sustain HIV-related programs for the next 3 months as patients begin to default on ARVs.
Nimetafuta pesa shilingi milioni 400 kukamilisha hiyo daraja ya hapo Kangemi. Nihakikishe ya kwamba hiyo daraja imekamilika.
From markets, bridges to education, President William Ruto's 3 billion worth of promises on his third day tour of Nairobi County.
Walinitoa tu kwa mlango, sikujua yenye wananipeleka chenye kinaendelea.
Law of the jungle. 6 people arrested for operating a fake police cell in Makaburini, Kakamega County. Yulanzale is our sign language interpreter. A day after President William Ruto's visit, Mathare constituency in Nairobi on Tuesday descended into chaos as opportunistic gangs unleashed a wave of terror on locals and businesses. Those affected are picking up the pieces. Motorists along the Thika superhighway near Muthaiga fell a victim, with attackers brazenly ambushing and robbing anyone in their way. Chilling CCTV footage and videos reveal sheer lawlessness that gripped the area on Tuesday. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui revisited the area and filed the following report.
Anarchy and lawlessness swept through the busy streets of Allsops in Ruaraka on Tuesday, happening as President William Ruto addressed the residents in the nearby Mathare area. By Wednesday, the aftermath was evident. Shaken residents and business owners were still reeling from the chaos unleashed by opportunistic goons who seized the moment to rain terror.
Walikuwa wanaenda kwa kundi around 70. Wanakuja duka yote yenye imefunguliwa na iko karibu na njia. Wanaingia, wanaiba watu vitu na wanapiga watu, unaona. Na pia walikuwa wamejihami kwa visu na tu shoka ile ndogo ndogo ya kupiga nayo watu.
Wakaharibu kitu ya huyu jamaa. Hii troli, kuna troli nyingine ilikuwa hapa, sio hii nyingine ameleta saa hizi. Jamaa alienda hasara hapa ni stock ya kama 3,000 yenye ilikulwa na hao vijana.
Those who endured the attacks recounted harrowing ordeals, their voices still full of fear.
Tulikuwa tumetoroka hivi tukashikiwa na huko. Mimi nilikuwa na simu. Hiyo ndio simu niko nao tu, mimi ni mwanafunzi bana. Nimeshikiwa na hapo, mimi niwapatia tu. Mimi sikuwa nataka kupigwa. Mimi niwapatia tu. Kuwapatia wakaniacha, wakakimbia na mbele. Sasa ilikuwa round 1. Wakaenda, wave ikatulia tena kidogo. Then round 2 sasa wakakuja, lakini hawakupita hii barabara. Wave 2 wakapita ile barabara ya Diamond Soko.
Innocent passers-by and locals going about their daily routines found themselves targeted, attacked, robbed, or both. Mobile phones were snatched, small-scale traders assaulted, and their goods looted. Many businesses were forced to shut down in the wake of the violence.
Mimi nauza socks, wengine wamekuja wananisukuma, mwingine ananipiga. Wengine wanachukua socks wanavaa kwa mikono, wengine wanavaa kwa miguu. Nauza viatu, kuna viatu walichukua, selected few. So it was a traumatizing thing.
Even motorists on the Thika Super Highway were not spared. Caught in the melee, their vehicles were vandalized as the rampaging gangs wreaked havoc, leaving behind a trail of destruction and fear.
Mwalimu wangu alikuwa ndani ya gari, but the goods were trying to steal from him inside the car because we normally park our car here. Lakini sasa he had to close the windows na akaruka nyuma ya gari akajificha hapo. Then all of a sudden mwizi mmoja alikuwa anatoroka akikimbia na huko chini, then akafumaniwa.
Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja said a number of suspects have been arrested as investigations commence to unmask all the perpetrators.
Hakuna mtu ako na ruhusa ya kusubua ule mwingine. Hapana. Kenya yetu ni huru. Na kwa hivyo wahalifu wote, awe ni yule anasimamisha mwingine, anapora mali ya mwingine, yote tutashughulikia vilivyo. Na tumeshika wale tumekamata, wameenda kutini na wengine tutaendelea kuwasaka. Mhalifu ni mhalifu, si ni kweli?
The chaos that swept through all stops with goons senselessly attacking businesses and innocent residents unfolded right at the doorstep of the GSU headquarters and the Ruaraka sub-county police station. This raises a pressing question: why did those entrusted with maintaining law and order fail to act as anarchy and lawlessness unfolded? Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Ruaraka, Nairobi County.
And President William Ruto now says he will shame those who doubt his ability to deliver on his promises, saying that all the pledges he had made will be met. As Emmanuel Toh tells us in the following report, the head of state made pledges today that amount to more than 3 billion Kenya shillings in Nairobi as he traversed 3 constituencies.
Hoye! Westlands hoye!
President William Ruto picked up from where he left on Tuesday. He continued to issue more promises to the more than 4 million residents of Nairobi County as his trip of the capital entered day 3. The president, who toured Dagoretti North, Dagoretti South and Westlands constituencies respectively, promising goodies worth over 3 billion shillings, including millions of shillings for the completion of the Kangemi Bridge.
Nimetafuta pesa shilingi milioni 400 kukamilisha hiyo daraja ya hapo Kangemi, na nimemwambia contractor miezi 2 hii daraja iwe imekamilika.
The president pledging 350 million shillings more for the construction of the Riruta Market, Dagoretti South constituency, and a colossal amount for the Kangemi Market and Kawangware Market, cumulatively totaling to about 1 billion shillings.
Na nimekuja kuwatangazia soko ya milioni 500 tunajenga hapa Kangemi. Ndio wafanyabiashara wa hapa waendelee, wafanye mambo yao na Kenya isonge mbele.
The president, who has made a slew of promises on classrooms and buses to schools, saying the government had set aside 1 billion shillings to enhance learning facilities.
Nimetoa pesa ya serikali shilingi bilioni 1 kwa kaunti ya Nairobi, wajenge madarasa 500 ingine mpya ya kusaidia hawa watoto wetu wasome darasani.
The head of state promising shame to the naysayers.
Na hiyo soko mtaangalia ikijengwa na macho yenu. Hii daraja mtaona ikijengwa na macho yenu. Na tutawaaibisha wale ambao hawaamini. Tutawaweka aibu kwa sababu tutajenga na itafanyika.
This comes as the president continued to woo support from the ODM leader Raila Odinga's strongholds in Nairobi, rallying residents of the 3 constituencies to stand with him.
Tumekubaliana na Prime Minister Raila Odinga ya kwamba tuondoe siasa ya chuki, tuondoe siasa ya ukabila, tuondoe siasa ya ubaguzi, tuunganishe Wakenya wote.
Kusiwe na ubaguzi wa aina yoyote. Tusiwe na ubaguzi wa ukabila, ubaguzi wa dini.
Tusikubali kuwekwa kwa mtego ya siasa ya ukabila. Sisi Nairobi tunajua kabila 2 peke yake, tajiri na maskini.
This comes as President Ruto additionally promised to deliver monies to accounts of students in higher education by the end of this week.
President William Ruto is expected to continue with his tour of Nairobi County, with tours expected in Lang'ata, Kibra, and the vast Nairobi County, with more promises expected as the head of state wraps up his campaign trail here in the capital. Emmanuel Toa, Citizen TV, Kangemi, Nairobi.
A reminder that the Public Service CS Justin Bidan Muturi is in studio later. Will be taking his account in relation to the developments, his time in cabinet, his dissatisfaction with some of the government policies, including abductions, which he has decried, and telling of his accounts as a victim following the situation that faced his son Leslie, and more will be on the bench later. Therefore, keep the conversation going, and we'll sample your feedback in the course of the conversation on the bench. Now to the HIV funding crisis, and the Ministry of Health is urgently seeking a budget review to secure at least 5 billion Kenya shillings within the next 3 months, an additional 13 billion in the next financial year to keep the HIV mitigation programs afloat following the US aid funding freeze by the Donald Trump administration. The cuts imposed by the administration of Trump have left a gaping hole in Kenya's healthcare financing. As Brenda Wanga tells us in the following report, the government now faces the daunting task of raising 30 billion shillings to sustain critical healthcare programs previously funded by Washington.
Nearly 2 months have lapsed since President Donald Trump of the USA issued a flurry of orders, amongst them one freezing funding through USAID. The impact of those orders continue to be felt across countries that were dependent on that aid to run various health programs. The Kenyan government has now quantified the impact of that freeze, and the gap is significant.
We are looking for 30.9 billion. If that money was here today, then we'll just say go on and work, because we'll do what we have been doing before. The truth is that money is not here.
Because for how long were we expecting other countries, other taxpayers to continue supporting very essential layer of health services? What were we imagining? At what point would it have come to an end? So much as it is unfortunate, I think we have this opportunity now in front of us to use this so-called misfortune and create something good out of it.
And this deficit is what the government must now seek to fill.
We have not talked about the gap in the TB program. We have not talked about malaria. The rains are here with us. We have not talked about vaccines. We have not talked about family planning, commodities, nutrition, oxygen, blood, and global health security.
Both the county and national governments are now mulling over ways of bridging that gap, and their first stop is the doorstep of the National Assembly. But before the legislators act, the two arms of government will have to work with the existing allocations.
For members of parliament, I urge you to advocate for increased budgetary allocations to the health sector, particularly for HIV and other programs that were supported. The time to act is now.
Necessarily we are the same shoe that President Trump gave us. It might be too big for us. We may need to scale down. We may need to relook at so many other things. As we set the next meeting, which shall be purely technical,
for sustainable financing of the health sector post the aid freeze, the high-level meeting resolved to, amongst other things, reorganize existing health workforce, including those affected by the freeze, to support HIV services, to support local manufacturing of essential commodities, to integrate HIV, TB, malaria care and treatment into the SHA benefits package. But before that takes effect, the ministry was taken to task on the efficacy of SHA as currently constituted.
Whatever else that was accompanying it in an air-conditioned room at Serena Hotel, there's somebody in Kabanzweni who doesn't know what to do. About SHA, they have paid and it's not working. So, Waziri, please call us into a serious meeting where we can tell you the truth about what is happening on the ground. SHA is not working, and we must make it work, and if it doesn't work, start writing a speech about something that is called exit.
The National Treasury was also put on the spot for failing to attend this crucial meeting. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
And a growing number of people living with HIV are defaulting on ARV medication following the closure of specialized clinics for the key populations. The Network for Persons Living with HIV in Kenya now warns that adolescents are the most affected, with stigma driving many away from treatment processes. While some counties have integrated HIV services into general health care, patients say critical support remains missing, leaving them uncertain about their future. Here's Laura Otieno with that report.
At Lumumba Sub-County Hospital in Kisumu, the outpatient clinic buzzes with activity, a testament to the high demand for medical services. In the pharmacy, a small corner is now dedicated to antiretroviral medication. A visible reminder of the hospital's efforts to integrate HIV services following a freeze in external funding. Despite this shift, patients say vital free services once offered at the comprehensive care clinic are now missing, leaving many struggling to access essential care.
Liver test, kidney test, and some of them unapata zinachukua 10,000 and above ili ufanyiwe. Sasa a normal one hakuna venye ataweza kuafford hiyo. Si mtu anaona tu kifo mbele yake.
Adolescents once catered to in youth-friendly centers have been the hardest hit, struggling to navigate HIV care in less supportive and overcrowded outpatient settings.
Because telling people who have been going to a separate clinic to now go back to where you have everyone, that is a big challenge. The issue we have right now, not many people are talking. Even people who have missed medication, a few of them can talk to NEFAC, but they will not talk to you because stigma.
Kisumu County had over 3,000 health workers under US-funded programs, according to the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council. But with funding cuts, the integration of HIV services has left a critical gap. Specialized clinic staff who are not absorbed, leaving patients in the hands of overstretched general practitioners. Now, many fear the quality of HIV care is at risk.
Wengi wao hawajakuwa trained. Na imagine wanapatiwa mpaka gadgets wa feel ambazo hawa hawaelewi ni nini kinaendelea. Ulikuwa second line, sasa unarudishwa first line again. Hiyo pia ni challenge without being explained to.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Tuesday announced the cancellation of 83% of programs funded by the USAID. In a tweet, Rubio, however, said that the remaining projects will be administered under the State Department. It is, however, unclear the specific programs that will be funded. As national and county governments strategize to sustain HIV services, those living with the virus are pushing for a seat at the table. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
The broad-based purge in Parliament came to an end today with casualties in various committees of the National Assembly. Kiharu constituency lawmaker Ndindi Nyoro was the first casualty in the shake-up, with his position as the Budget Committee chairperson handed over to Alego Songa MP Samuel Atandi of the ODM party. Nyoro, who gave the election today a wide berth, has kept off the public eye, even as the National Assembly majority and minority leaders Kimani Ichung'wah and Junet Mohamed accused him of favoritism in budget allocations when he served as its chair. Here's Stephen Leto with that report.
A one-time defender of President William Ruto has been cast aside by the broad-based wave, with his powerful Budget and Appropriation Committee chairmanship position handed over to the Orange Democratic Movement Party under Alego Songa lawmaker Samuel Atandi. Atandi was elected unopposed, with the Kiharu lawmaker absent.
And to that end, I also want to take this opportunity to thank my party leader, Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, Prime Minister, and the President of the Republic of Kenya, who have allowed us to join together and work together as Kenyans.
Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and his minority counterpart Junet Mohamed on Tuesday accused the former chairman Ndindi Nyoro of skewed allocations. Committee members defended their former chair, saying they have been making allocations as a committee.
This committee, the Budget and Appropriations Committee, does not work in isolation. We do not do the budget in isolation. This committee works with the departmental committees departmental committees also interact with the executive.
They always say if you want to kill a dog, give it a bad name. We have seen it happening before the committee was disbanded and even now. But it is good to pray that the law that this committee plays and the law that the Treasury also pray.
The lawmakers told the new leadership to stand firm and ensure every part of the country receives its fair share of the budget.
We must be there to stand as long as what you do is fair, objective and transparent. Criticisms will be there. That's why you are a politician. Concerning the liaison committee, that it is the responsibility of that committee to make a budget. Chairman, you should nullify the decision that was made by the Speaker of the National Assembly.
Butere MP Tindi Mwale was elected as the chair of the powerful watchdog committee, the Public Accounts Committee, defeating Rarieda MP Otendi Amolo in the election.
It's not going to be the way it has been, that reports come and nothing is done. No. Under my leadership as the Public Accounts Chairman, I'm going to make sure that those reports are implemented, and also where we recommend that an officer should be surcharged, we will even write directly to DCI.
Other MPs elected into chairpersons and vice chairpersons positions include Pokot South MP David Kosing, Ainab Koi Samuel Chepkonga, and Garissa Woman Representative Amina Sayed. The changes in Parliament today signifies a purge and shake-up, as well as a looming reorganization of government to accommodate the opposition and the broad-based government arrangement, with pundits now accusing President William Ruto of sweeping under the bars his closest defenders and foot soldiers. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
And the Democratic Party of Kenya, founded by the late Mwai Kibaki, has moved to sever its ties with the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. The party has, in writing and in keeping with the terms of the coalition agreement, given 30 days' notice for its exit. The Registrar of Political Parties, Anderetu, has confirmed receiving a copy of the notification from the party, which will make the DP the first party to exit the coalition since its inception in 2022.
In the ever-shifting Kenyan political landscape, the Democratic Party of Kenya becomes the first to officially delink itself from the ruling Kenya Kwanza Alliance coalition. The party, founded by Kenya's third president, Mwai Kibaki, in 1991, and which in the run-up to the last general election fronted Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi as its presidential candidate, stated in a letter dated 7th of March that its continued stay within the Kenya Kwanza fold was no longer tenable. The letter, signed just a day before the United Democratic Alliance entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Orange Democratic Movement. The notification, received by the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties on Wednesday, is signed by the Party Secretary General Jacob Haji and Chairman Esau Kioni. Haji telling Citizen TV that Kenya Kwanza no longer espouses DP's ideals and that the coalition agreement entered into on the 12th of April 2022 simply provides for 30 days notice in writing for termination. While Muturi officially resigned as DP's party leader in October of 2022 to take up the role of Attorney General, his relationship with President William Ruto, with whom he entered into a coalition agreement in April of 2022, has been strained. Muturi, in January this year, condemning abductions, including that of his son, carried out by state agents. A public stand not looked on too kindly by the establishment.
This statement is not political. It is just to say, please, let us now discuss this issue.
There are reasons probably why Justin Muturi knows he's probably on his way out.
At the level of... But DP's stay in Kenya Kwanza has been tumultuous right from the start, with a section of the party's officials accusing Muturi of betrayal by entering into the coalition agreement. They later successfully sought relief from the political party's disputes tribunal, challenging Muturi's standing in the party and the legitimacy thereof of the coalition agreement. Muturi's path to the Kenya Kwanza Alliance coalition and a share of appointive positions in government later made clear by the High Court, which adjudged that the complaint challenging the legitimacy of the coalition agreement was made out of time. Olive Burrows, Citizen TV.
And the Democratic Party leader, Justin Bidan Muturi, is with us in studio this evening to give us an account of all the developments, including that press I issued early January this year regarding the dissatisfaction he had against the government that he served, first as an Attorney General and now as a Cabinet Minister for Public Service. Waziri, thank you for your time.
Thank you too.
Much appreciated.
Yes.
Tell us tonight, why are you still in government?
Well, I'm still in government because, as you know, I'm in that coalition. And secondly, I participated actively in campaigning for Kenya Kwanza in the 2022 general elections. And therefore, I'm perfectly within my right in the coalition to be in government.
And why are you seeking a divorce with regards to the statement issued by your party today, expressing the intent to leave the Kenya Kwanza coalition?
As you know, the Constitution of Kenya, Article 77, Clause 2, provides that any appointed state officer may not hold or shall not hold any office in a political party. Mm-hmm. And therefore, as has been stated, for me to take up the appointive position of the Attorney General, I am to resign as the leader of the party. And therefore don't participate in the activities of the party in any of its organs, because it will be in violation of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were the moves or the intent brought to your attention, having served as the party leader before your absorption into cabinet?
Pardon?
Before the absorption into cabinet and given the portfolio as the Attorney General and now the CS for Public Service, did the party keep you in the loop about the letter that they had issued today to the Registrar of Political Parties?
Well, the party doesn't have to inform me these days about the activities that they are doing, because they do the normal meetings, the NEC, the management committee, and they are at liberty to make whatever decision they feel it's in the best interest of the party. And therefore, they did not have to inform me about the decision to write to the registrar about the desire to exit the coalition.
And you're okay with the move made by the party to leave the coalition?
Well, I just saw the letter also. So whether I'm okay or not, it is a decision that has been made by an organ of the party that I believe is authorized to make the decision.
Okay, so let's talk about what you had issued in early January when we had met at the Serena Hotel. Ever since then, when I posed the question to you as to whether you have thought about resigning from government, you said, we'll cross the bridge when we get there. Have you?
Well, I thank you very much for that question in the first instance, because as one would expect, the issue I raised on the 12th of January in that press statement were an objection to abductions and extrajudicial killings which were happening in the country. And if you recall, in that statement, I did indicate that it is now high time that we as government deliberated, debated on those issues, because left alone, they have the potential to plunge this country into chaos and some anarchy. And therefore, do not think that since it is not the policy, as far as I know, it's not the policy of the government of Kenya to abduct or have people killed. Speaking against that cannot be ground for anybody to resign from government. Indeed, I think I should be congratulated for restating the government position, which position is also informed by our own constitution, which we also to defend, protect, and uphold. Among other things, no abductions, no extrajudicial killings. People who are arrested, even if they are arrested, should be presented before court within 24 hours. They must also, in terms of the Constitution, be informed of the reasons for their arrest and or abductions, as the case may be.
Okay, Waziri, when we get back from the break, there is a lot, including what you said at the Nairobi Funeral Home, laying blame at the doorstep of the president and saying that the buck must stop with you, Mr. President. He spoke in Homa Bay County in December as to how this will end your relationship with the president, giving us a recap of how you had managed to get the whereabouts of your son, Leslie, the UDA-ODM union, your time at the state law office, and the skipping of some cabinet proceedings, including the one that happened in Kakamega County, and whether that borders on insubordination is what we'll be talking about when we get back from
including yesterday's.
You never attended?
Yes, I never attended.
You'll tell us the reasons.
Absolutely.
Many thanks for keeping our company here on the broadcast. When we get back, the former Attorney General and the Public Service CS will be with us in studio, and we'll be sampling your feedback on the major screens here on the broadcast. All that after the break here on JKLIVE.
Having agreed and executed this agreement.
Sigh of relief for patients as clinical officials call off strike.
Ramadan is a universal religious rite, and it is part of one of the 5 pillars of the Islamic faith. However, each country adds its own flair to it, making this wholly awaited month an even more personalized and joyous occasion that brings worshippers closer to their Creator.
This is me at Stanbic Private Banking. What does it feel like? It's having my own world-class private banker. It's me receiving my World Elite card. It's more than banking. It's investing skillfully. It's planning wisely. It's living joyfully. It's banking easily. It's me walking boldly into my future. Start your journey. Visit www.stanbic.co.ke. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
All right, listen up. Collocates is on a mission. It makes our gums happy and our teeth strong. See? We're moving forward and making changes.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate science for healthy gums and strong teeth. And we'll leave no smile behind.
Buroti maguta keja kwa mtaa mambo fiti. Nafungua bahasha wao nikismile mambo ni murwa kop imesotia geta biza maplot nikasip tu kani flota mboka reti koto nikasip tu.
With just a payslip, get a mobile loan of up to 500,000 shillings or an unsecured loan of up to 9 million shillings. Visit a Cooperative Bank branch today. Cooperative Bank, we are you.
The Smarter Bundle. Bundle imetosha. 30 GB monthly data. 400 minutes talk time to any network. 100% rudishiwa on Airtel Money transactions, bank to wallet, pay bills, and agent withdrawals. Subscribe to the Smarter Bundle today. Dial *544# or visit My Airtel app. Airtel Smarter Bundle. Browse, chat, call. Airtel Money. Airtel. A reason to imagine.
Kote nchini mbele tuendelee mbele Kenya twende mbele
Kenya twende mbele. NCBA. Go for it.
This we are
actually died with turmeric.
Oh, this is 100% turmeric.
This is 100% turmeric.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Na nimedecide na divorce my husband na nikuje na Joseph huko Nairobi.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Police in the county of Kakamega have arrested 7 suspects accused of running an illegal detention cell in Makaburini area, where 9 people were held, whipped and tortured for consuming alcohol. The victims, both men and women, were crammed into a single room, denied access to the outside world, and forced to relieve themselves in buckets. To buy their freedom, they had to pay a 300 shilling bribe for their self-appointed discipline masters.
If the walls of this tiny mud-walled room in Makaburini, Kakamega County could speak, they would echo the cries of innocent men and women subjected to 3 days of unimaginable torment. What began as a village elder's crackdown on drunkenness spiraled into a disturbing reign of terror. He enlisted a group of young men who transformed the humble structure into an illegal detention cell where suspects were held captive, punished, and left with more questions than answers.
Walinitoa tu kwa mlango, sikujua yenye wananipeleka chenye kinaendelea. Kufika huko nikapata kuna wenzangu huko wanachapo, pia mimi nikaingizwa huko na nikalala huko siku 3 kana nachapo. Sasa sikujua chanzo nini.
Akaniambia baba, umemaliza kuoga? Nikasema nimemaliza kuoga. Haya, vaa haraka, toka tuende. Nani mwenye anakuita? Nikasema makosa ni nini? Hakuna, wewe tuende. Twende unaitwa huko. Haya, nikakaa mchana, niliingia saa 10 nilipata hawa huko. Saa 6 usiku sasa ndio ikaanza sasa viboko. Walinichapa hii mapacha si mapacha.
What's even more shocking is the sheer inhumanity in their captivity. Men and women were crammed into a single filthy room. No separation, no dignity. Forced to share a single bucket as their toilet and survived on a single meal a day.
Yaani kama imekukaza tu unaingia tu ndani hiyo. Sasa hutaki kujua hata mwanaume kama ako hapa ama mwanamke. Sasa utafanya aje? Sasa inabidi tu. Jioni alikuwa analeta ugali na sukuma.
For 3 agonizing days, this makeshift cell became a chamber of misery where survival was the only goal. Escape came at a cost. 300 shillings. Brazen and unafraid, the gang ran their illegal operation in plain sight, openly extorting victims and silencing anyone who dared to question them with the chilling threats.
Nilikuwa natoka kazini, wakaniambia wewe mama kuja hapa. Wewe ni mtu mwenye tunataka tena unakunywanga pombe. Wakaambia mmoja patiana kifunguo. Huyo mmoja akachukua kifunguo. Kaniambia kuja nikuonyeshe seli. Kafungua dirisha.
Hii ni siku ya 3 nikiona hiki kitendo. Nikauliza, kwa nini mnafungia vijana wa hapa? Ni wakaniambia wewe pia wewe utaingia hapa. Nikauliza kijana mwingine, akasema nataka kusimamisha watu wa pombe. Watu wa pombe wote hapo. Na hapo mavipoko zikaanza.
Yule nilimwendea kwanza kabisa alikuwa ni mzee wa mtaa wangu village elder ambaye aliconfirm, alidhibitisha kwamba kweli kuna chumba ambacho hawa watu wanawekwa. Baada ya kutafuta ni akina nani, tumekuja kwa ground, tumepata ni ukweli.
Police and Ngao officials leading the rescue operation freed 9 victims and arrested 7 suspects, including the village elder behind the illegal detentions. The suspects now face charges of unlawful confinement, assault, and issuing death threats. One was also found in possession of cannabis sativa.
That story was produced by Gatete Njoroge. Elvis Kibiwot Toroitich, the prime suspect in the murder of 19-year-old Belinda Khayanga, has been formally charged. Appearing before the Thika High Court, the JKUAT student pleaded not guilty and was released on bond. Investigators allege that Toroitich invited Belinda to his Juja residence, where an altercation broke out involving him and another man and the deceased. The dispute escalated, leading to Belinda's tragic death. Here's Franklin Wala with that report.
After 30 days in detention, murder suspect Elvis Kibiwot Toroitich was back in court as Juja detectives presented him before Judge Florence Muchemi.
Elvis Kibiwot Toroitich
You are being charged with the offense of murder, contrary to section 203.
The JKUAT second-year student was formally informed of the charges against him and pleaded not guilty to the murder of Belinda Wekesa. The court granted him a bond of 500,000 shillings.
The next estimation will be on the 5th of May 2025 for further directions. Meanwhile, the court urges the parties to study the evidence and consider plea bargaining. So he will be remanded at Nairobi, remand home, pending processing of board.
Detectives allege that Elvis Kibiwot Soretich invited 19-year-old Belinda Wekesa to his rented apartment in Juja, where she was found dead on February 7, 2025. At the time of her death, Belinda was a second-year student at Uzuri Institute in Thika. According to investigators, she was in the apartment with her boyfriend and another man when a quarrel broke out. In the heat of the altercation, Elvis allegedly attacked Belinda and attempted to stab the other man. As chaos unfolded, Belinda fled towards the balcony, but the suspect is accused of chasing after her and pushing her from the 4th floor. Witnesses claim that after the fatal fall, Elvis attempted to conceal the crime by hiding her body. Key to investigation is CCTV footage capturing the moments leading up to her death. Detectives are analyzing the footage and recording statements from a witness who was present during the incident. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV.
To some welcome news in the health sector, and the Union of Clinical Officials has called off its month-long strike. Through Secretary General George Gibore, direction was given to all clinical officials to report back to work immediately. Health CS Dr. Deborah Barasa announced that the ministry had addressed all the concerns raised by the professionals, terming the resolution as a highlight of the government's commitment to strengthening the healthcare delivery and advancing universal healthcare coverage under the Taifa Care program. Dr. Barasa praised that the clinical officials for their dedication and called for continued collaboration to build a resilient, patient-centered system, ensuring quality and affordable healthcare for all Kenyans and balancing the needs of healthcare workers as well.
Having agreed and executed this agreement, the union has made decision to call off the strike, and our members are advised to resume duty immediately and not later than the next 24 hours.
Our clinical officers form part of the larger health workforce that plays a critical role in delivering essential healthcare services to our citizens. Therefore, thank all the clinical officers who have willingly resolved to resume duty with immediate effect and urge them to continue working towards building a resilient, patient-centered healthcare system that guarantees quality and affordable care for all Kenyans.
Senior security officials in Nyanza and the Rift Valley regions, in collaboration with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission (NCIC), on Wednesday convened a peace meeting at Kiango, the border of Kisii and Transmara, to assess the situation 2 weeks after inter-community violence erupted. Rift Valley Regional Commissioner Dr. Abdi Hassan, together with his counterpart in Nyanza, Flora Muoroa, say normalcy has returned after leaders and elders sought a truce to bring an end to simmering animosity between the Abagusi and Maasai communities, which led to loss of lives, burning of farms, and general disruption of peace in the area. During the meeting, the NCIC team pledged to monitor all border committee leaders in the areas affected in an effort to find a lasting solution to the underlying issues.
Kuna boundary conflict hapa.
Ng'ombe mbili imechukuliwa, umeambiwa uongoje siku kadhaa.
Today we are here at Kiango on the border of Rift Valley and Nyanza, specifically because we came here to confirm that actually peace has returned.
And we are happy that so far so good. Calm has returned along the border, and we came today to meet the peace committee members.
What is remaining is to further cement this relationship. As our RC had said, this area had enjoyed uninterrupted peace for 20 years, and we would like that to continue.
Serikali yetu imekuja kutuletea amani, na vijana yetu wanaongeleshwa na wazee na watu ya boda. Tunataka amani ya kudumu.
Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen has dismissed claims of a plan to remove Chief Justice Martha Koome affirming that the Kenya Kwanza administration will not interfere with the judiciary. Speaking in Abogeta in Meru County during the installation of the first Deputy County Commissioner, Murkomen reiterated the government's commitment to judicial independence despite occasional criticism of court rulings. His remarks follow recent allegations by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who claimed President William Ruto was behind a plot to oust Koome over her firm stance against impunity.
Tunaamini kwa judiciary na tunaamini kwa judges ambao wanasimamia kwa ukweli, na ile propaganda watu wanasema hapa ati wanataka Chief Justice, wanataka Supreme Court judges. I want to assure you that the government of Kenya under William Ruto will not interfere with the independence of judiciary, and Madam Chief Justice will continue doing her job, and we will protect the Madam Chief Justice. Nitahakikisha usalama wake na support yote anapewa Chief Justice, the First Lady Chief Justice. We want to make sure that she succeeds in the work she's doing.
You're watching JK Live. Thanks for staying with us. When we get back from the break, I'll run you through few business and sports stories, and on the bench we'll be back with the Public Service CS and the first Attorney General of the Kenya Kwanza administration, Justin Bidan Muturi, on his dissatisfaction with some of the government, how the government handled the events in the aftermath of June 25th, 2024, his views on the KICC pact last week on Friday, his dissatisfaction regarding the cabinet skippings that he has done, and also the admission he made here on the bench just before we embarked on the break some few minutes back. All that here on the broadcast after the break. EPRA to introduce additional charges on fuel as it reviews margins for oil marketers and transporters.
Roto tanks. Roto tanks. Built like a tank.
PCE. Sasa?
Wasan.
Ile stick ya zero sugar ni nini?
Ujui Club Zero? Hebu ni kushow.
Festive seeded bread, zero added sugar, high in fiber and protein. Mkate zero sugar.
Soma lebo.
Sasa Mama Tosh, wewe kwa Club Zero?
Nikose nitekwe.
Aya, nipe mbili, moja ya babu, ingine ya shushu. Asante. Shush. Club Zero, imagine. Festive Zero and Festive Wholemeal. Zero added sugar and reduced salt.
Napenda. Asante sana mwanangu.
Na hii Festive Wholemeal ni yako babu. Imepunguzwa chumvi, soma lebo.
This is very good. Hii mkate ya heritage ina chumvi nyingi, alafu ni
Karibuni Club Zero.
Carefully read the food label before consuming your products. The balanced recipe with reduced salt and zero added sugar is good for you and your family.
Thank you for making last year's Run for the Bibleless a huge success. Because of your support, the New Testament in the Chonyi language was completed and launched. And now, BTL invites you to the 18th edition of the Run for the Bibleless on 15th March 2025. Register today at the BTL centers in Upper Hill Ruiru, AGC Lakeview Nakuru, Reformed Church Eldoret, and at the Keswick bookshops in Nairobi and Nakuru. For more information, call 0722-209-606 or email us at info@btlkenya.org.
Welcome to Boma Mabati Factory, the 2024 winner in roofing solutions. All our products come with a warranty and are KEBS certified. Be part of our many satisfied customers by visiting us to enjoy great discounts. Boma Mabati Factory, Mabati Poa, near Boma.
Want to study in the USA or Canada but worried about tuition fee? Africa Airlift Initiative will help you secure scholarship and student loan. Whether you're looking to start your undergraduate, diploma, transfer, pursue a master's or advance to a PhD, we've got you covered. Get expert guidance every step of the way. Visit africaairliftinitiative.com or call 0719 857754. Africa Airlift Initiative. Success beyond borders.
I won't object to you two being together anymore.
Wait, are you serious?
Of course.
Papa God giving me a smarty woman. Smartest. Hey!
With the WRC Safari Rally 2025, Revisha and feel the roar!
Now, would you believe me if I told you that this blazer I'm rocking right now, and even this beautiful outfit that is next to me, has been made out of agricultural waste? Those parts of a pineapple, banana, and avocado that you don't eat have been recycled into these fashion pieces. Join us this Thursday as we highlight the innovation of transforming agricultural waste into sustainable fashion. Can I try? Yeah, try. Niko na nguvu. Nimekula ugali.
Welcome back, and it's time for business. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority now says that it will soon introduce additional charges on pump prices. This to cater for the ballooning costs of shouldered by oil marketing companies and fuel transporters here in the country. The regulator says that the decision comes about as the result of findings and recommendations in the second cost of service study for the petroleum sector. Here is Wamboi Wangoi with the details.
Every 5 years, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority undertakes a cost of service study for the petroleum and electricity subsectors. The first was undertaken in 2018. The second just concluded, and with it, recommendations to add additional charges on petroleum products like petrol and diesel. EPRA says this will ensure that the cost of petroleum products reflects supply chain expenses.
So it is important that we reflect the market realities of today in the price-regulated environment.
Governments normally have medium-term plans, which are 5 years. So again, because a lot of fundamental issues in the economy may change, that's why it's important to review after every 5 years.
The 14-month study concluded in February this year and has been approved by policymakers and the Board of Directors at EPRA. The impending implementation will see the prices of super petrol, diesel and kerosene all go up. Petrol, for instance, will see a jump of 7 shillings and 80 cents per litre. These additional funds will go to oil marketing companies and petroleum transporters here in the country.
Because, to use an example, as you've seen, transporters who have not had an increase from 2010, and it is today 2025, 15 years, and this is a question we need to ask ourselves as Kenyans. If those businesses close, it is your brother, it is your sister, it's your relative, it is a Kenyan who's going to lose a job, isn't it? So if we don't do our role as a regulator to ensure the balanced interests of investors and consumers, tomorrow the question will be, where is the regulator when this business is shutting down or moving to other jurisdictions?
And to cushion Kenyans from the impact of this looming hike, EPRA says the implementation of these new charges will be done gradually.
We are looking for a mechanism where we implement this, the recommendation of this report in phases. We want to time it at a point where it will not impact the consumer negatively, and we want to apply it at a time when we're having the petroleum prices come down. We are seeing international prices, Platts prices, which are not within our control, starting to come down. So we see an opportunity where we'll be able to implement these recommendations, even though it's a margin increase, without necessarily increasing palm prices.
The study was undertaken by Current Technologies Limited in a joint venture with the UK's Channel Consulting Limited. Wambui Wangui, Citizen TV.
And Kenyan households have been forced to borrow more to maintain their living standards. This is according to data from the 5th edition of the Tala Money, the month of March report. And as Jimmy Mbogo now tells us in the following report, more than 90% of respondents say life is tough, but remain optimistic.
For the second year in a row, the Tala Money March report shows that an increasing number of Kenyan households are borrowing to survive. 59% of Kenyans have been affected by the rising commodity prices, while 41% say they have had to cut back on their expenses to afford basic commodities like food and rent. A third of the consumers note that they feel utilities have increased by over 20%.
And if you think about it, if a customer has been cutting down on their basic expenses for the last 2 years, as we know from the report, there's probably nothing else left to be cutting down. And now that resulted in a new trend that we were seeing for the first time, which is actually a 19 percentage point jump in customers saying they'll borrow more. So just to compare, last year was 46 minus 19, can do the math. But essentially this year it's 46% of customers actually saying, I actually need to borrow to be able to meet my needs.
So what has happened is obviously the economic situation in our country has been declining at a macro level. As a result of that, the consumer will obviously then also have an economic challenge. The role the digital lenders have played is actually a very important one in slowing down the consumer's deterioration.
The report further shows that delays in income is increasingly becoming a challenge for salaried Kenyans, making it the only challenge that increased in magnitude compared to previous years. This has further left consumers prone to borrowing, with at least 36% of them saying they're often stressed about their finances. Only 5% of those surveyed claim to be okay with their finances, an issue that has led to lower savings among salaried consumers.
We're seeing a situation where the expenses are higher than income. So you might find someone has a willingness to save, but they just cannot be able to because they need money for their day-to-day expenses. That said, another trend that I found to be interesting that came out is customers are talking about fear of loss and also trust.
Amid the growing concern over financial distress, the Competition Authority of Kenya, CAK, has urged digital credit providers to see their role beyond providing loans, further urging them to prioritize customer education, transparency, and ethical lending practices. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Farmers in the county of Lamu are slowly embracing BT cotton, a genetically modified variety that outperforms conventional cotton in both yield and resilience. On this week's edition of Smart Farm, our reporter Dennis Otieno visited the county of Lamu to explore why BT cotton is being hailed as a game changer for dryland agriculture in Kenya.
In the semi-arid lands of Mpeketoni, Lamu County, farming has long been a gamble against nature. Unpredictable rainfall, extreme temperatures, and relentless pests make agriculture a daunting task. Yet amid these harsh conditions, one crop is defying the odds. BT cotton. Genetically engineered to resist pests and diseases, BT cotton is thriving in Kenya's drylands, offering farmers like Susan a resilient alternative to traditional varieties.
Hii pamba ambayo tumeletewa sasa, mbegu hii, ina tofauti. Maana kanaanzia ukikapanda, hata ukipanda mbegu mbili, mvua ikiwa iko sawa, kanatoka vizuri na kanaanza kuzaa kakiwa chini. Yani kakiwa saizi hii, unaona kameanza kuweka mifuko.
Mara ya kwanza. Unlike conventional cotton, which is highly susceptible to pests and requires extensive pesticide use, BT cotton has an inbuilt resistance to the destructive bollworm pest. This significantly reduces the need for chemical sprays, cutting farming costs and minimizing environmental impact.
Iwapo utajua
zile dawa ambazo ni muhimu kutumia, haitumii dawa nyingi kwa sababu si kama zile dawa pamba nyingine tulikuwa tunasumbuliwa na wadudu wengi. So hii unapopuliza tu dawa tu za kawaida ambazo hazina kemikali nyingi ina perform.
Spearheading the expansion of BT cotton in Kenya is the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, AATF, a non-profit organization dedicated to transferring agricultural technology to smallholder farmers. Their efforts are bringing this drought-resistant and pest-resilient crop to remote regions where traditional farming methods struggle to succeed.
Farmers previously had to use a lot of chemicals in controlling bollworm. But because of BT cotton, which gives the cotton plant 100% protection against that worm, meaning that farmers are able to reduce the cost of production because they use less chemicals. Then number two, BT cotton being a hybrid is a high yielder, it's a high performing crop. So farmers are able to get higher harvest from it.
BT cotton's ability to thrive with minimal water makes it an ideal choice for Kenya's dryland farmers. As extreme weather patterns become more frequent, more farmers are turning to crops that can withstand these challenges while ensuring steady yields and improved incomes.
Manake kuvuna ya kwanza ile ya kitambo kwa ekari moja ilikuwa inatoa 32. Alafu ya pili utapata kama 15 hapo. Lakini sasa hii BT tangu ikuje katika ekari moja niliona kama sasa ukilima ekari moja inanipea kama almost 50 per acre. Na bado unaona bado inaendelea bado kunipa mazao.
Tulipanda mwezi wa 5, mwezi wa 8 watu wameanza kuvuna around 3 months. Unaweza enda hata around 4 ukitunza vizuri.
However, despite its promise, the adoption of BT cotton is not without hurdles. The initial cost of seeds and access to the right farming inputs remain key concerns for many smallholder farmers.
Bei yake iko juu sana kwa sababu kilo moja nasikia iko zaidi ya shilingi karibu 1500, zaidi ya shilingi 1500. Si wakulima wengi wataweza kununua hiyo mbegu. Changamoto yetu kubwa ni vile tunaweza kukuza hiyo mbegu yetu hapa nchini kwetu ili tupunguze bei ya ile mbegu.
Kwa sasa mbegu inatoka India na bei yake bado iko juu kwa sababu ya transport costs from India mpaka hapa.
Still, the success of BT cotton in Kenya's drylands is part of a broader movement toward climate-smart agriculture. In 2024 alone, Lamu County produced over 2.6 million metric tons of seed cotton. And with BT cotton gaining traction, many farmers expect those numbers to rise. With more homegrown and high-yielding cotton, many farmers are now hopeful that this will pave the way for a sustainable and economically viable future for the country's agricultural sector. Dennis Otieno, Smart Farm.
Time for sports. The national women under-17 team are in the final stages of preparation ahead of their return leg match against Uganda on Sunday afternoon. The second round return match will be played at the Nyayo National Stadium from 3 p.m. The junior starlets have a 2-0 advantage from the first leg, having beaten Uganda in their backyard 5 days ago. Kenya scored both goals in the first half and were happy to sit back and defend in the second half. Despite the advantage, the starlets are determined to go for another huge win to advance. The team has a number of players who were in the squad that played in the last under-17 World Cup in the Dominican Republic. They would like to get back to the World Cup this year to be played in Morocco. The North African country will host the next 5 editions of the Under-17 Women's World Cup.
Tuko na pressure juu inafaa to work hard ndio tuweze kuachieve tena kurudi World Cup. Juu pia timu tunakutana nazo zimejipanga juu zinajua zinaenda kumit watu wenye wamefika World Cup, so si rahisi. Ni must win. Then tumejipanga tu vizuri. tunangoja wafike tuonyeshe hii ni land yetu, si yao.
And the government, through the Ministry of Sports, has announced the sponsorship for all female drivers who will participate in this year's WRC Safari Rally Championship to be held next week. Speaking after meeting with the drivers and their navigators in office, Sports CS Salim Vuria has reiterated the government's support in growing the motorsport in the country as he calls for more ladies to take part. Kenya will host the third leg of the WRC Safari Rally from the 20th to 23rd of March in Naivasha, the county of Nakuru.
Tano mzuri na wao, na mimi nataka kuwapongeza kwa sababu si rahisi kuchukua hatua hii ya kwamba wajitose uwanjani wa kuweza kushindana kwa mashindano ya magari. Kwa hivyo vile wamejitolea, kwanza tunawapongeza, lakini pia tunawaunga mkono kwa sababu wao ni kielelezo cha kuhakikisha wanakuwa motisha kwa wasichana wengine ama kina mama wengine ambao pia wanaweza kupata nafasi ya kuangalia mambo yao.